Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Wednesday night. And we do begin with breaking news. That headline, North Korea just a short time ago issuing its newest threat. The AP now reporting that the North Korean regime is calling President Trump's words a load of nonsense, saying they will complete their plan to, quote, attack waters near Guam by mid-August. It comes after President Trump warned North Korea against making any more threats, or the U.S. would unleash fire and fury unlike anything the world has ever seen. ABC senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega leading us off.
Tonight, a new threat from North Korea coming in, saying they will be ready to attack the U.S. territory of Guam by mid-August. This comes as President Trump's warning shot fired directly at Pyongyang tonight is sending shockwaves around the world. But ABC News has learned that threat caught some in the president's own inner circle by surprise. The president in that statement using language not vetted or pre-approved by his national security team.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen.
Sources close to the president say behind closed doors with top aides, including new Chief of Staff General John Kelly, President Trump had discussed taking a tougher tone on Pyongyang. But even members of his own national security team had no idea the president would go so far.
He has been very threatening beyond a normal statement. And as I said, they will be met with fire, fury, and frankly, power, the likes of which this world has never seen before. Thank you.
Within a few hours, North Korea responding with its own warning, saying it is seriously considering a plan to target Guam with missiles. The U.S. territory, home to crucial military bases and 160,000 Americans, is just 2,000 miles away. Then today, Rex Tillerson sending a message of his own, landing in Guam, offering very different words.
I think Americans should sleep well at night.
The Secretary of State striking a much softer tone.
What the president is doing is sending a strong message to North Korea in language that Kim Jong-un would understand, because he doesn't seem to understand diplomatic language.
Then the president himself weighed in, tweeting, "Our nuclear arsenal is now far stronger and more powerful than ever before. Hopefully, we will never have to use this power." But his initial words have sparked international reaction. From New Zealand,
I think the comments are not helpful in an environment that's very tense.
To Germany's Foreign Office, saying saber rattling won't help. Even some in the president's own party calling his words dangerous.
All it's going to do is bring us closer to some kind of serious confrontation. I think this is very, very, very serious. The great leaders that I've seen, they don't threaten unless they are ready to act.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that President Trump is ready to act.
And Cecilia Vega is with us live tonight from Bedminster, New Jersey, where the president is vacationing at his golf course. And Cecilia, you have more on that statement from the North Koreans at this hour. And any response from the White House tonight?
David, so far no response from the White House, but I do want to read you more from this statement coming in from state media in North Korea. A top Army commander behind this statement outright saying that this is, quote, a crucial warning to the United States. They say that this fire and fury comment by President Trump is, quote, a load of nonsense. They say it infuriated the Army there. They list the exact rockets that they plan to use on that island nation of Guam. And David, you said it. They say they will complete this plan by mid-August.
Cecilia Vega, who will be covering this into the night. Cecilia, thank you. ABC's Chief Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz with us live in Washington tonight with more on this breaking development, this new threat from North Korea. And Martha, you've been talking to your sources at the Pentagon. A lot of Americans watching this unfold want to know, how likely is it we're going to see some sort of military conflict here?
Well, first of all, David, President Trump's statement was a surprise to many. It is important to say war is the last thing anyone at the Pentagon wants to see happen. But Pacific Command has been doing updated war planning, and they're certainly focusing on defensive measures as well. But if those tough sanctions imposed on North Korea do not work, if Kim Jong-un continues to make progress on a nuclear-tipped missile, a senior official told me that in 6 to 12 months, the administration will have to decide whether some sort of preemptive strike or some other measure should be undertaken to stop Kim. David?
All right, Martha Raddatz following the breaking developments as well. Martha, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
Overnight, those new threats from North Korea, promises on state television to reciprocate 1,000-fold for what it calls America's villainous actions against our country and people, warning that if the U.S. thinks it will be safe because it is across an ocean, there is no bigger misunderstanding than that.
KUAM News team coming to you live from Tumon, Guam. Here you can see the tourists here along the beach, just as they are every day, a very popular tourist destination for Asia and many in America, also home to the Air Force and the Navy as well. And here's what's been developing here out of the territory. Guam taking center stage in a war of words between the U.S. and North Korea. That all happening this morning. Right now it's just after 9 a.m. local time here on Guam. Local leaders we're here are preparing a statement, but island residents waking up to this news that North Korea is looking at the possibility of launching a missile aimed here at Guam. The threat following President Donald Trump's announcement that hours earlier warning North Korea that any threat to the U.S. would be met with, quote, fire and fury. KUAM also reaching out to the government officials, the governor's office, as well as Guam Homeland Security. We have yet to hear back from them, as well as get any response on what preparations may be underway after that threat being made and coming our way this morning.
Kick the can down the road for 20 years. There's no place else to kick it. There will be a war with North Korea over their missile program if they continue to try to hit America with an ICBM. He has told me that. I believe him, and if I were China, I would believe him too, and do something about it. You can stop North Korea militarily or diplomatically. I prefer the diplomatic approach, but they will not be allowed to have a missile to hit America with a nuclear weapon on top, and to allow them to do that is really abandoning Homeland Security.
Cancel special instructions at my command, quadrant 557. Shot 2. 2 shot. Shot 2. 2 shot. Shot 2. 2 shot. HPD! HPD, man! Loaded! Turn one! Ready, jump!
There are other hurdles to overcome, as Steve has said. They have to perfect the miniaturization of the warhead. They got to see if their reentry vehicle works. We don't know what the payload of this test was, so depending on the weight, it could go further, it could go less. But this is here. This is here. People have been warning about the North Korean ICBM for 20 years. They've been barking wolf about this. Well, the wolf is at the door. This is a very real threat to the United States.
Vice President is in Asia doing the 4-stop tour, and he said basically the U.S. is running out of patience. Clearly a message to North Korea. You have a Navy fleet that is sent into the Sea of Japan right now. Have you ruled out a military strike?
I don't want to telegraph what I'm doing or what I'm thinking. What happens? I hope things work out well. I hope there's going to be peace. But, you know, they've been talking with this gentleman for a long time. You read Clinton's book. He said, oh, we made such a great peace deal, and it was a joke. You look at different things over the years with President Obama. Everybody has been outplayed. They've all been outplayed by this gentleman, and we'll see what happens. But I just don't telegraph my moves.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll handle North Korea. We're going to be able to handle them. It will be handled. We handle everything. Thank you very much.
What happens if North Korea launches another missile?
We'll find out.
For 20 years, it's this kind of thinking that's allowed North Korea to have dozens of nuclear weapons, not just one. They're going to have dozens of missiles if somebody doesn't stop them. They'll have a hydrogen bomb one day if somebody doesn't stop them. I like Secretary Tillerson. His job is to find a diplomatic solution. I hope he can. But when he says North Korea is not our enemy, tell that to Otto Warmbier's family. So I think this whole approach that they're talking about has failed. It's time for a new approach. We need to let China know that we will pick our homeland defense over regional stability. If we have to choose between an ICBM in the hands of the North Koreans and a conflict in the region, we're going to choose the conflict to protect the American homeland. And quite frankly, President Trump has no other choice because everybody before him has failed.
To the toughest sanctions ever passed by the UN Security Council against North Korea, which could cost the regime nearly $1 billion a year.
These sanctions will cut deep, and in doing so will give the North Korean leadership a taste of the deprivation they have chosen to inflict on the North Korean people.
Sanctions in the wake of North Korea's alarming progress in its nuclear and missile programs. Kim Jong-un launching a second intercontinental ballistic missile just 9 days ago, a missile potentially capable of reaching as far as the eastern U.S. It is now Secretary of State Rex Tillerson's mission as he travels across the region to ensure all parties, especially China, adhere to the sanctions in hopes North Korea finally comes around.
Well, the best signal that North Korea could give us that they're prepared to talk would be to stop these missile launches. We've not had an extended period of time where they have not taken some type of provocative action by launching ballistic missiles.
And that will indeed be the big test, but whether the North Koreans stop the tests or not, the U.S. will give the sanctions time to bite before taking further action, but Secretary Tillerson said there is no time frame for that.
Developing this morning, North Korea says there is no bigger mistake than the U.S. thinking it's safe across the ocean.
National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster says President Trump has been briefed on military options regarding North Korea.
It's an incredibly strong day for the United States. It's a strong day for the United Nations. It's a strong day for the international community that wanted to send a message to the North Korean regime that we were done. The time of talking is over. We made that very clear on Monday, and the time for action has happened, and now it's time for North Korea to decide where they're going to go. What you saw the Security Council do was a unanimous vote that basically banned coal, lead ore, iron ore, banned seafood, stopped all new joint ventures, stopped expansions of joint ventures, had multiple sanctions designations, and we gave them basically a kick in the gut with $1 billion of sanctions that are going to start, they're going to start to feel right away. It's going to be very strong, and it's time for North Korea to realize we're not playing anymore.
North Koreans lining up to watch state-owned TV, threatening the U.S. with a thousands-fold revenge for what they call villainous UN sanctions, warning it's a mistake for Americans to think they're safe. President Trump talking for an hour to his Secretary of State at an Asian summit today, after Rex Tillerson delivered a message to North Korea. Stop testing missiles, then we can negotiate. North Korea's shocking breakthrough in a test 10 days ago, a missile able to reach as far as Chicago, has alarmed the world. That plus what U.S. officials call unusual and unprecedented submarine activity by North Korea, which hopes to develop sea-launched missiles as well, producing a diplomatic win for the White House, while in Washington talk of the potential need to plan for military options.
There's nothing like the threat of a ballistic missile landing on your homeland.
But you have to look at what North Korea has done. This is a country who has taken all of its revenues and not given it to its people to feed where they're starving, but instead has put it towards an irresponsible nuclear program where they're trying to show their muscle. So what we basically did was kick them in the stomach, told them to stop, and said we're not going to put up with it anymore, and the ball is now in North Korea's court. They have a big decision to make. They can either respond by pulling back and saying that they're not going to be a part of this reckless activity anymore.
조선의 핵 보유가 미국이 떠드는 것처럼 세계적인 위협으로 되는가, 아니면 미국에 한한 위협으로 되는가, 이에 대한 입장을 명확히 밝혔습니다. 그리고 조선반도의 핵 문제의 근원, 조선반도 정세격화의 근원이 바로 미국에 있다는 입장을 명확히 밝혔습니다. 절대로 우리의 핵과 탄도로켓을 십상타게 올려놓지 않을 것이며, 우리가 선택한 핵무력 강화에 대해서 단 한치의 양보도 없다는 것을 천명했습니다.
China said that sanctions would put a lid on the nuclear capability of North Korea. China was also confident that North Korea will come to the negotiating table. But you know what? North Korea has just reacted to the sanctions just moments ago for the first time, condemning the move, calling them a violation of sovereignty. It also promised an action of justice. What action of justice really means, we don't know. We just know it's probably a retaliation. Now, they're believed to be capable, of course, of hitting the U.S. We don't know if they will do that. As you know, the international community has been trying to get Pyongyang to negotiate, but that has been to no avail. Pyongyang has been resistant.
To clarify your thinking, the United States has to take prudent military planning into account.